taking some time out to spend with us this afternoon. This is like a prelude to the event taking place on the 23rd of July. If you haven't heard about it, I can't understand why, because I've been going on about it.
I know, posting it. I actually reposted it as well, actually.
So you should.
Yeah. So I've done my bit.
Good.
I've done my bit. So can I have payment now?
I'll give you a bit of cheese later. So let's pick on each of you individually. Richard, welcome. Lovely to see you. Yeah.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. It's been a while. So, Richard, you're one of the panelists at this event that we're holding on the 23rd of July. What's your thinking about what you might want to talk about? Obviously, don't give us any spoilers, not too many. But what do you think you're going to want to talk about as it relates to your career and your progress and so on?
So what I would like to talk about is how to navigate the workplace as an introvert, because that's something that I struggled with at the beginning stage of my careire. I'm 38 now.
You're old, man. You're old.
Just joking. So what did he say? Did he say he was 38?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Wow.
I'm
only 25.
Like,
sorry.
Yeah. For radio listeners, I look about 12. Anyway, I wish. But
you do, man. You look young. You do look young. Yeah. Go on. Sorry. We keep interrupting you. Sorry.
That's all right. At the start of my career, I found myself being overlooked for things like, promotions and pay rises, and that was usually dominated by the louder people in the office, and it led me to think that I had to behave like them in order to progress in my career. But actually, it wasn't until I got some enlightenment through a book by an author called Susan Cain called Quiet, and it was about unleashing the power of introverts. Like in a world where people just can't stop talking, basically extroverts. And what that did is unlock. It reintroduced me to myself, and I was able to just grab onto different opportunities that came my way, because I was able to see myself through a new lens. And I want to give that to the young professionals on the
23rd. Make sure you remember that. No, that sounds. Yeah, you better do, because you know what I'm like. Anyway, that sounds fantastic, because of course we can't all be the same. So hearing a different perspective is brilliant. Isaac, what do you hope to bring to the fore? Because you're a young Black professional man. What message do you think you're going to emphasize on the 23rd?
How to handle being infantilized by people.
Okay.
Because I work in law, and I find that a lot of people of varying demographics like to infantilize Black people, especially Black men. And I think a lot of people don't talk about it as much. So, and I notice, especially with like the network I have, the Black Men in Law Network, that it's something that happens quite regularly. But I think what often happens, especially to Black men, is we either internalize. The amount of times I've heard from people say that I have to physically make myself smaller to not be threatening to people, or they just don't really speak about their experience to the extent that they think that nothing happens to them. So people will have this narrative that when we go through work and whatnot, that nothing happens to Black men at all. And it's very dangerous, because what I often notice is a lot of those men probably will go around thinking that something doesn't happen to them until you ask them to describe their day or what people do to them. And then there's a litany of things that happen, but you just either don't speak about it, you internalize it, or you just act as if, or maybe it's just me as an individual. And then if everybody is saying the same thing or very similar things, then you start to realize it's actually quite systemic. And just kind of acknowledging these things and acting on them, in the sense that realizing something is happening. And also documenting these processes and experiences, especially working in law, because what often happens is people make out that it's all in your head until you tell someone who's a stranger, and then they're like, wait, what? That happens to you every day? And you're like, yeah, is that not normal? And people are like, no, that's really not normal. And you don't realize that, and the impact that I think can have, as you kind of go through your career, especially if people build families. And this goes for all Black professionals. It's not just Black men, but I think there's a lot of things that happen to us. If someone will come home angry, and I've had so many friends who say things like, their partners have said, you're nicer when you're on holiday from work than when you're on.
All
you come home angry.
pent up
all of that kind of
stress.
stuff. The way it can kind of impact you, and just the support system, all of those things. That's kind of how I'm going to kind of have a discussion about that, and navigating sort of all of those feelings that kind of come with all the things that we have to do and feel when we're at work. I don't think we know what to necessarily do with feelings like that, especially in more professional or corporate professional services spaces. We don't really talk about it. It's getting the door, but what happens when you're in the door? How do you deal with the hell in behind the door? And no one knows about that bit, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good that both you and Richard have harped on something that's not only about how you navigate making progress in your professions, but how it feels to be in those spaces. And I think that's a pretty unique perspective, if you like. Adryan, you are the next individual here. What do you think you're going to want to sort of emphasize when you share your story?
Probably the ability to pivot within careers, not within careers, sorry, like going from one career to another.
Okay.
When I think about my experience, I went from marketing, a background in fashion, and I pivoted during lockdown to tech and product design. So I think that, and obviously tech as an industry is becoming a lot more, I wouldn't say saturated because there's still a lot of need for it, but it's becoming a lot more attractive because of there's so many positives with working in tech. And people are like, they're kind of coming to that realization of late. The access to tech isn't necessarily bountiful when it comes to people of color or Black people. When I think about being in school and sort of, learning IT, it was very much the basics, but then the kind of like the more sort of the more fruitful stuff like coding and even designing, we weren't really exposed to that. It was only like, the gifted and talented students, and even that, having the gifted and talented students, that was a certain demographic and a certain type of person. So we were left by the wayside. So I kind of want to reiterate this message on the 23rd, that it's never sort of too late to kind of pursue something that you've always had at least an inkling of an interest in. And just kind of traversing that as well, because obviously, entering into the field, I'm very new, and I was like, I'm not a 21-year-old entering into the field, I was 30. And 30 entering into the field.
You're not a young fella.
Okay. But entering into the field at 30, and also sort of like navigating other things when you enter into that kind of like that sort of corporate / creative environment, such as imposter syndrome, something that I struggled with / to this day still struggle with. So like it's gonna be it's gonna be just a plethora of things that I kind of discuss, all within the same theme though. So yeah.
Okay, lovely. So I hope our listeners get a bit of a snippet of what they have in store. Or what we have in store on that particular day. We also have, and if you're wondering, well, where are the young women? Well, we also do have a
Sylvia.
No. Me not young, and me not young. No, we do have a contributor who was unable to be with us today. And we had another contributor who unfortunately had it clashed with another event, so she had to pull out. But I do hope that we will have women in the audience who can perhaps, contribute to the conversation, and also, contribute their own perspective. So guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Really look forward to hearing you guys on. Oh, sorry, Richard.
Richard.
Your hand went up. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Sorry. Just before I go real quick, I just want to put a quick shout out to Black Introvert Week UK, which is going to be also in October, the last week of October every single year. So I just want to put that as a placeholder, just like for your listeners, because 1 million of us in this country are Black introverts, and we are the forgotten million. So I just want to put that out there real quick.
Okay, my next question then is: do you have flyers and that sort of thing that you can send us so we can actually put the word out as well? Okay, wonderful.
Indeed, I can do that for you for sure.
Yeah, send that to me definitely. So looking forward to the event on the 23rd. Thank you so much, guys, for stopping by. What else? Does anybody else want to give a shout out as we're here? As we're here, Isaac? No.
Can I give a shout out to all the good-looking Black men such as myself who are, doing it
Simon,
all?
would you belt up? For goodness sake.
Look at that.
I want to hear something sensible. Come on now.
I was actually going to be altruistic, Look at that.
That's not one of Simon's. That's not one of his gifts. Believe you me. Sorry, guys. What were you going to say?
No, it's fine. I want to give a shout out to Urban Lawyers, the Black Women in Law Network, the Black Men in Law Network, the Black Barristers Network. People are doing such incredible work to support Black people in law. But more widely, we have groups such as the Black Equity Organisation, and that has just launched as the UK's first national, because obviously we have lots of different groups, but it's the UK's first national, which is also making international links with other Black liberation groups across the pond from a US perspective, in Europe, in the Caribbean, in African countries as well. So BEO is what it's called, Black Equity Organisation. And check them out because they are really, really pushing. And the benefit of them is that it's to become a really powerful group in the way that in America you have groups such as like the NAACP, which we don't have on a national scale here. And the problem with that is that, forces want to make sure that that does not happen. So it has launched. Do check it out, spread the word to your families, and you'll be hearing a lot more from the group itself. It's got a lot of great people inside it, and they're very, 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 very serious. So check them out. Okay,
that sounds excellent. Again, encourage you, if there's stuff like that going on that you need us to be aware of, do send us flyers and that sort of thing, and we can always promote those. So thank you for that, Isaac. Adrian, did you want to shout anyone out as you're there?
It may be a bit more like unserious than Isaac and Richard's. Now I was going to shout out my aunt, whose birthday it is today.
Oh well, you know you need to do that because she's in the next room. You don't want to get any difficulties.
But, also, I wanted to shout out on the theme of sort of careers, Love Circular. They are a school who basically they teach like user experience and user interface design and product design, and their whole like ethos is to place sort of like minority groups in those tech roles, or put them on like a sort of like on a freelance tip as well. Everyone is welcome to sort of learn within those schools, but their prices are lower, which kind of like, attracts those who may be, less fortunate and can't afford the bigger schools such as General Assembly. So yeah, I'd like to shout them out because I learned with them as well. So yeah.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you, fellas. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, and see you in a couple of weeks.
Cheers.
Right. All right. Thank you, guys.
No, I don't mind.